So we're going to talk about Japan because there's actually good news to come out of Japan. So we'll end on a good news segment, shall we? But really, a lot of this is actually also relevant to the previous segments that we've had because, my goodness, if there was ever a warning to Japan for the society they don't want to fall into, it's what you've obviously presented previously here today. But as you can see here, so you have the Prime Minister, or former Prime Minister, I should say, to cut to the chase, Shigeru Ishiba, and he's just announced that he's going to resign just the other day. And you have this article back from July of this year, where it says that Ishiba walks a political tightrope on immigration. Right, and obviously we, and mostly you, Josh, have covered extensively now. We've had many segments here at the Lotus Eaters covering what's going on in Japan and the civic resistance to what the government are basically trying to force on them. And it's because we identify with it. We see what the Japanese government is doing, and we know it well because it has been done to us. Entirely without consent.
It's also interesting that all of this can be traced to a very specific date of November 2023, when there were negotiations between a number of NGOs about Japan's large national debt. And then mysteriously, one of the terms of their repayment is that they take in immigration. I remember this going very much under the radar at the time. So it's basically
very interesting that they would want to force that as part of the negotiations.
It's a weird thing for international capital to be pushing on people, isn't it?
Destroy your nationhood and economy to pay off your debts.
Also, I don't understand how it even helps their ability to pay their debts. Maybe they're, the most charitable example is that they buy into the false argument that importing people from these countries somehow helps the economy and helps it grow, and then...
Which it doesn't.
Yeah, it provably doesn't. And you'd think that these large, well-funded institutions would know that. So it seems a little bit more insidious than that, doesn't it?
You could also see those globalist institutions being set up in Japan using identical rhetoric all across the board because they have no attention to the particular character that makes Japan Japanese. It's just a one solution fits any country, and even though it's not a solution at all. And they obviously have no moral qualms whatsoever about reducing Japan and everything that makes it Japanese.
I find it very interesting that a lot of the pro-refugee or immigration messaging coming from people, whenever they're holding placards or signs, is written in English. Sort of indicates something, doesn't it? That it's not as organic as it's, presented.
Aye, very telling.
Listen, we know that we have got somewhat of a decent audience in Japan right now, so let's just all be as clear as possible. If you're watching this show in Japan, you've probably seen some of the other things that we report on. They should serve as a warning. If you choose to open your doors to mass immigration from the third world, whether it's for economic reasons or moral reasons, using arguments of refugees or the desire to pull up the global south to the level of more civilized and well-functioning countries, it will not go well. You will be in the same position that we are in now, except 20 years from now. You'll be in the same position that American cities are right now, in 50 years or so. Tokyo, as far as I'm aware, is one of the densest and largest cities in the entire world with a huge population, and as far as I'm aware, actually functions in ways that cities in the West don't anymore. You don't have huge ghettos that are completely unlivable except for the small minority ethnic groups that live there, that make it a complete no-go zone for anyone who isn't part of their tribe. You want to keep a hold of your culture, you want to keep a hold of your history, you do not want to be told that the Japanese don't really exist because you need to open your doors to everybody. What you need to do is you need to kick these NGOs out. You need to expel the people who are already in the country who are causing trouble. You need to keep yourselves insular, you need to keep yourselves Japanese, or else you are going to be in the same position that we're in right now, just 10 or 20 years down the line. You do not want that.
And the final stage is South Africanization, right? Where you have to, for your own safety, stay in walled areas with barbed wire electric fences, be armed at all times, and not go anywhere outside of your militarized compound without armed guards. This is starting to be the case in some American cities even, where that actually might be good advice. And it's starting to happen in Britain as well, to a certain extent. And this is the end goal of what's happening, that things will be so dangerous you can't even go outside without armed guards. You can't have a house without massive fences around it.
So, to the voices telling you that tolerance is the path forward, those who are telling you that multiculturalism is inevitable,
我々は多文化共生社会を作りたいと思っています。
repudiate these people entirely because they don't have your best interests at heart. Do not give them an inch because
they are lying to hurt you.
It's really that simple. It's really that simple. So let's talk a little bit about this article, shall we? So it goes on to say that in addition to a record-breaking tourism boom, 2024, so the year after what you were saying happened, Josh, in 23, Japan welcomed nearly 360,000 new foreign residents. And while the... Pardon?
Where from does it mention?
Many, many places.
Well, they've recently had a partnership with Africa.
We'll get to it.
Okay.
We'll get to it. With the ruling Liberal Democratic Party contending with both economic considerations and political pressure from right-wing parties, Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba faces a complex balancing act on immigration. And it goes on to say that in 2024, Japan's foreign resident population soared to over 3.7 million. Primarily spurred by an influx of young migrant workers and international students, and most importantly, and this is the most important statistic, the population data shows that 9.5% of the population aged 20 to 29 is foreign born, right?
That's a disastrous statistic.
This is a terrible statistic, right? Because Japan obviously has a totally inverted pyramid. I understand that you have a very aged population, and that means that these people are going to be the future of your society. And what's more, I can promise you, and I'm not saying all, but generally speaking, these people are not loyal to you, right? They have sympathies from their place of origin, which is only natural as part of the human condition.
And it carries on from generation to generation.
So don't expose yourself to it. Nip it in the bud here and now, okay? So we also have to talk about the fact that this Ishiba, he is also, and this was remarkable, despite being a very, very small minority of Japan's population, he is actually also a Christian. And look, Christianity is, here in the West, is our cultural and spiritual inheritance, and I hold it in very high regard over here, but I do think that this is a mistake in Japan, because it will feed into the universality that comes with Christianity, and this idea, as you can see here, Ishiba talking at the 80th anniversary of Hiroshima, and talking about drumming for tolerance. Tolerance is a mistake, right? Tolerance, yes, in measure, tolerance is important in order to coexist with other foreign countries around the world and in order to have negotiations and diplomacy with other nations. But tolerance within your own society is only going to go one way until eventually it is you tolerating them on and on, further and further, until you find, hang on, I've given literally everything away about my identity, and we have nothing.
Well, tolerance is fundamentally only a virtue if it's applied to good people.
Yes.
Also, Christianity, you've got to consider that Christianity in Japan and the West isn't the same as Christianity in other places, especially in parts of Africa. Christianity in many of those countries is purely nominal, where they have the name Christianity and they'll have churches, but many of those people are still actually practicing old pagan voodoo habits. It's very strange to see how that works, but that is the case. So Christianity could be used in that sense as a Trojan horse to get you to accept these people.